Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the second week of June. So I am going to be covering in this section June 8th through the 14th. And what I'm doing is I am looking at where the moon is relative to all the other planets. The moon will be reflective of the people, the public, the emotions, everything that's going on. And also I'll be talking about a lot of the major big aspects that are going to be occurring throughout this next week. And there are a lot to talk about. So this is a very pivotal month. Trust me, I know this. This is going to change everything, June and July. So before I really get going here, I always want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter. Go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and there you can sign up for my free newsletter. Check out all the offerings I have, such as my Patreon group. This is a spiritual community. We all come together with like-mindedness live every week. You can find that on my website. Furthermore, while you're there, or you can go directly to the Galactic Planner. I have to remind everyone, because what I'm doing right now is actually what the planner does, but it applies it to your own personal chart. Because even though there could be major things happening in the world, it may or may not affect you. This is how you know. Go to galacticplanner.com. Now, one last thing. If you have an interest in learning Vedic sidereal astrology, that's what I'm doing here. I'm not a Western tropical astrologer. Here I'm taking the true placements of where the planets are astronomically. And if this has inspired you to want to learn astrology, I have an entire school. You can go sign up, become my student at universityofvedicastrology.com. Now, I want to get going. One last thing I want to remind everyone, I am talking about the time of Central Daylight Time. That's what I'm referring to. So adjust your clocks from knowing what the difference is from my time, because when I say this is happening at this time, you got to figure out what time it is where you are. So please, down in the comments, I love knowing where you're from, and I do check them. I love to see all around the world the people that are following the guidance of the stars. This is so very cool. So let's get going and let's look at June 8th. June 8th, Jupiter and Mercury will be exactly conjunct this day. Now, some people may not think that's a big deal, but in Vedic astrology, we actually call this planetary war, where planets are on top of each other and they're both fighting for the floor to be noticed. Because when they're on top of each other, they're kind of fighting for attention. But this is very short-lived, but today I think it's almost like where Jupiter and Mercury become one too. And these two planets rule travel, for one thing, and the other thing that they rule besides travel is communications, especially since they're both here together conjunct in Gemini, which is the sign of media, communications, traveling, trade, commerce, business. This is great for business and trade. All the things going on in the world concerning trade and business, this is all coming up. This is going to, there is a turning point today, I think, with these two planets being exactly conjunct each other. Now, another thing is that during this day, we have the moon still in Libra, which is great. Why? Because it is aspecting Our Jupiter is aspecting the moon, but we have them actually in a positive trinal aspect. So everything to do with what Mercury and Jupiter are is going to be accentuated today with the moon being in Libra, casting a trinal aspect to the Jupiter-Mercury. Now, another thing is the moon is in the nakshatra called Vishaka. And this nakshatra symbol is a triumphal archway, which means success and victory. But I think one of the main reasons why this nakshatra is so strong and powerful is that it is ruled by Jupiter. And so the moon being in a nakshatra ruled by Jupiter accentuates Jupiter's powerful positive energy. And I like the fact that Jupiter and Mercury together, they're two benefics together. And they say that Mercury takes on the quality of planets it's next to. So Mercury dealing with communications being next to Jupiter means people are more optimistic and open-minded during this time. What a great thing. I love this. So really, if I could say the days of June 6th, 7th, and 8th are great days because the moon is in Libra. And not only that, the moon being in Libra in a great aspect to Jupiter and Mercury, it's also being aspected by opposition Venus. So it's still a wonderful day for relationships, coming together with your loved ones and giving your affection and sentiments and appreciation to those that you love in relationships. It could even be a day to meet someone. Absolutely. But another thing about this moon being here, it is a very bright, bright moon. So it is right before the full moon. And in Vedic astrology, that is so positive to have a bright moon. It means it brings awareness to the world. There is brightness in the dark sky. So this is a wonderful day. Use this day for everything, relationships, travel, coming together, communicating. It's a fantastic day. Now let's move on to June 9th. So this is a Monday. And June 9th, oh my goodness, things will change pretty rapidly. Now we're approaching the full moon. It's not a full moon yet, but the moon has shifted into Scorpio. And this is pretty much the whole day. It will be in Scorpio, Central Daylight Time. And it's in the nakshatra Anuradha. Anuradha is actually a really good nakshatra for friendship, for coming together with people. And the moon is very bright, almost full. But I don't like the moon so much in its debilitation sign of Scorpio. And even though it is in Anuradha, the whole time it's in Scorpio, it can deal with strong emotions that can be over the top too much. And sometimes, especially the next few days, it's going to point more towards jealousy. That's what happens in this sign, and not quite the nakshatra that we're going to be looking at in the next few days. So looking at this, the Jupiter, Mercury are in the 8th house from the moon. This isn't as good. This is like the whole energy shifted today on the 9th. And Venus goes to the 6th house. This is not as good as the days before. You'll definitely start to feel the energy change, go down, be difficult. Now, Mercury and Saturn are actually square one another today. So this can definitely cause some setbacks and delays in things that you've been working on. Don't be too over concerned. This will shift, but you do see where things aren't as flowing and easy as the days before. This is starting to have some obstacles coming up and happening. Now, here's another thing that's going on June 9th. Venus and Pluto are in a square. And Venus and Pluto, Venus, of course, rules love, romance, opening your heart. But squaring Pluto can have a major problem with this because Pluto can be disappointment, difficult relationships, and many times Venus-Pluto contacts can deal with betrayals. So this is a time to really be cautious with relationships. Another thing I just noticed, Uranus is opposed the moon. So relationships are difficult today. Lay low from relationships. It is not a good day. Furthermore, I just realized another thing going on. This is a critical day where the energy changes radically. And that is, not only is Mercury squaring Saturn, but it is squaring Neptune. This means you can't believe everything you hear. There's a lot of deception. Their minds are clouded. They're confused. Lay low today. This is not a good day really for much of anything. And I gotta say, this is going to be in effect pretty much the whole time the moon is in Scorpio. So, but today you'll see you can't trust people and there's a lot of deception. And it just doesn't feel good with Pluto-Venus. Problems in relationships. Let's move it forward to June 10th. So June 10th, this is not quite, actually, it really is kind of the full moon, but technically the full moon will happen June 11th. But it's going to happen at very early hours that the moon is full and on the 11th. So in other words, it is almost full today on the 10th. And on this day, on the 10th, the moon is in the nakshatra Jyeshta. Jyeshta deals with intense feelings. It deals with jealousy. And this is where the moon is going to be full. So you're going to see a lot of things come out in the open where the public, I mean, this full moon is intense. And then we're moving towards the last part of the sign of Scorpio, especially on the 11th. Well, let's just say the 10th and the 11th. We have the moon in the latter degrees of Scorpio, yes. And what that means, and the early degrees of Sagittarius, that means it's Gandanta, extreme emotions. So I'm going to say this is the characteristics you're going to feel for both June 10th and the 11th, while the moon is in Jyeshta and it is full. There's going to be a lot of things coming out where people are going to be irrational today. Mark my words, people are going to be a bit crazed with this full moon being in Jyeshta. And that's one more thing I want to mention. It's in the tail of the scorpion. Realize the tail of the scorpion is where the venomous poison is. So people can be vindictive and strike and be jealous. Watch your back around June 10th and even the 11th. But let's move to June 11th. This is going to be a Wednesday. And the moon will move into Sagittarius. And when it does, and this will be around 11 a.m., June 11th, Central Daylight Time, it will move into the nakshatra Mula as it moves into Sagittarius. It is still Gandanta at 0 degrees. Remember, Gandanta means being out of control. And it's the last degrees of water and the first degrees of fire. But this nakshatra Mula is very destructive. Yes, it deals with, it's ruled by the god of destruction, Nriti. And it is a really dark place for the moon. It deals with getting to the core and the bottom of things. The symbol for Mula is a gathering of roots. So it means getting to the root of the matter. But all at the same time, This portion of the zodiac is full of black holes, and that energy really is intense. It sucks things up. So there's destruction, there's problems, but I will say that Jupiter and Mercury are 7th from the moon. Therefore, this sheds a little positive light on the situations. So in other words, the things that are dredged up from the bottom, through shedding this light onto things, it's great. It's great for some healing and discoveries because we have this really nice Jupiter-Mercury conjunction. Still, they're traveling together alone in Gemini. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to start happening concerning travels, but that's not yet. So now it's still an okay time to travel. I think it's fine. Let's move it up to June 12th. June 12th is a Thursday, and the moon is still in Mula till around noon time, Central Daylight Time. Then the moon will move from Mula to Purva Ashada. It's still going to be in Sagittarius this whole day, but the nakshatra Purva Ashada is so much better. It is ruled by Venus. Therefore, now we have a good sense and feeling of love, affection. Relationships are working well today because the Jupiter, Mercury are in the 7th house from the moon. That deals with relationships, even business appointments and meetings and partnerships. This is a great day to get things done. Absolutely great. Because not only do we have Jupiter and Mercury aspecting the moon, but we also have Venus in a trinal aspect to the moon. So the energy from June 11th to the 12th changes pretty radically. This is a lovely day for relationships, meeting people, communicating, traveling, and opening your heart to love and relationships. It's a good day for marriage and things like that. Yes. All right. So let me move it up to June 13th. Hold on. There we go. June 13th. We have the moon still in Sagittarius most of the day. Well, really all day. In the evening, it's going to shift. Let's see. Into Capricorn, not till around 7:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. But so for the most part, it's going to be in Uttara Ashada. Now there's Purva and Uttara, and the Ashadas deal with truth finding, factual truth, and being fair, being all about a cause and a sense of purpose. That's what this is in the sign of Sagittarius. And Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So Jupiter is aspecting the moon and it rules it. This is another good day. Now, Purva Ashada is ruled by Venus the day before, so it's great for marriage relationships. Today, it's good for probably business transactions, getting together with your communications, but it's also a great day for partnerships, loved ones coming together because the moon, the whole time it's in Jupiter's sign, Sagittarius, is being aspected, if you use the trinal aspect of Venus, by only benefic planets. It's great until it changes into Capricorn, which is later on in the day, in the evening, that is. Now, I'm going to move this next to June 14th. June 14th, we have the moon moves into Capricorn. And around 1 in the afternoon, Central Daylight Time, the moon will exactly conjunct Pluto. So this is intense, strong feelings. Things are over the top. And another thing is happening that needs to be looked at. The sun will enter into Gemini. So happy birthday to all the sidereal Geminis beginning now. But I gotta say this, it may look really nice that the sun is coming together with Jupiter in Gemini, but essentially that leads to a problem we call combustion. And the whole time that the sun is in Gemini, nearing Jupiter, Jupiter becomes combust the sun. So the power, the energy, the positive energy of Jupiter starts to become denied or burnt, as I should say. That's what combustion is. So it starts today that the sun will go into Gemini. And that won't be till around 8 p.m. So actually, most of the 14th, we still have the sun at the end of Taurus, but by 8 p.m., the sun will enter into Gemini. Now, there is going to be so many problems with this, especially with traveling. This is where things become really heated up, starting in the evening on June 14th. Now, here is another thing. There is a lot going on here. And actually, if I could say Friday, June 13th, as well as Saturday, June 14th, we have the sun in a square aspect. And what I want you to know is it's at the midpoint of Rahu and Ketu. So June 13th and 14th, look out, there can be some major calamity for a world leader. And, oh, on the 14th too. But you know, the 13th is going to have an effect too. On June 13th, I'm sorry, I should have seen this, but Saturn will be, let's see, Saturn will be in a position where it is with Neptune, and yes, it's going to be squaring Jupiter. Okay, but in reality, continuing on with the 14th and the 15th, we've got some serious things happening. The sun will be at the midpoint of Rahu Ketu. The sun represents world leaders. Things are going to really, something big is about to happen concerning a world leader. Now, here's another thing on the 14th, on this Saturday. We have Mars and Uranus squaring each other, both at 4 degrees. Uranus 4 degrees Taurus and Mars at 4 degrees of Leo. This represents unexpected, serious events. This will be like an attack. This can deal with some, and it could even be with a leader being attacked. And actually what I noted was Mars being around 3-4 degrees of Leo, which is on June 13th, 14th, and 15th. Wow. There can be problems for President Trump because he has his Mars there around 3 degrees of Leo. So Uranus squaring that. Look out. There is great danger in the world. And even if it doesn't involve President Trump, it involves attacks, violence, anger, unexpected events that seem to come out of left field. Here is the time things start to change dramatically. And also, let's move up, okay, to the last day I'm going to be looking at. This is a lot for this week, June 14th. It's a Saturday. And on this 14th, yes, Mars and Uranus are square, but Here's another thing. Jupiter and Saturn are exactly square one another. And that has major repercussions on the economy. Absolutely does. And they will be squared off most of this month. So here's what I think, because there's going to be some kind of war, attacks, violence, it's going to affect the economy. It's going to affect the stock market. Watch how everything shifts with this planetary energy this month. So I'm going to pick up where I left off in the third week, so stay tuned. Remember, if you want to learn more about me, go to my website. Go to galacticcenter.org. And if you want to study with me, go to my university website, which is universityofvedicastrology.com. Thank you.